I think if you've been following my career, I'm a very aggressive athlete. In the 400 meter, I love going out hard. And when you see me run the 1 and 2, you'll probably see me the most happiest because that's where I can go hard and give it my all. You need to control the controllables. It's easier said than done because I mean, while I am practicing my gratitude, still put in the hard work because there's no way my hard work will go in vain. And eventually, when the time is right, my time will come. There's days when you're struggling with anxiety or you're struggling with borderline depression or whatever else comes with something like an injury. I had my season of winning, I'm having my season of losing, but if you constantly put in your hard work, your season will come.
Cool, man. So, as you were saying, Cape Town born. Uh,
Yes,
Whereabouts? Just talk us through that.
I was born in Cape Town, Tygerberg Hospital. I lived in Cape Town for until the end of primary school, and then moved to Bloem, and then high school in Bloem for about a year and a half, and then moved to Midrand for about a year and a half, and then back to Bloem.
Cool. Grey boy.
Yes.
Yes, was your class full of Springboks?
No, it was definitely I think a real privilege to be in Grey. Um I think especially for a sports loving individual and a person that had green and gold aspirations. Grey College was like the ideal place to be, sitting next to guys that have the same dream as you, same goal as you. I guess exposing yourself to environments that um would spark that desire to want to wear the green and gold one day. And I think Grey College was the perfect place for me to be, um when having to sit in the wall every day visualizing myself being a Springbok one day, or a South African athlete or sports person. I think that was the perfect place for me to be that dreamer, to be able to see what it would look like to represent the country, because we are exposed to um Springboks, old grey Springboks, and then current Springboks. You're sitting next to them, they're going on Springbok tours. We sitting next to squash players that are going on Springbok tours, tennis players, swimmers, you name it. I mean, it was definitely a blessing to be able to be exposed to an environment where you can see yourself being someone that represents the country as well.
Fantastic. But I mean,
Mm.
I I hear you. I mean,
Yeah,
no disagreement about Grey, but I
yeah.
think it feels like you guys were born into it in the family, eh?
Yeah, no, it's definitely been a blessing. I mean, um, I remember back in the days growing up with Cheslin as well, how much we love sports. And to be honest with you, we plus my sister, I think we three that made it, but I can tell you that there could have easily been a lot more.
I mean, for your family, it must also be, you've been to is it two Olympics with family?
Yes, I've been with one with Cheslin, that's 2016, and then I've been with one with my sister this year.
Yeah, that must be just it's
Yeah.
such an awesome experience all around, eh?
No, definitely it was really amazing. And I think also a real blessing. I remember back at 2016, it was definitely something I was very excited for. It's like, oh, Cheslin's was gonna be here, and I'm gonna get to see these individuals and that individual. So it was definitely a big inspiration. And then I think this year as well, it was a bit more of a difficult year for me, struggling a lot with health and with personal issues and stuff like that. And just knowing that my sister is also going to be there was a big driving force for me to be able to lock in every day when I can, and making sure that I do my part so that I can stand um, at the rings or at the opening ceremony with my sister when the Olympic Games start. So it was definitely a massive, massive driving force for me this year.
So now I know this is an interview with you, but she
Hmm.
fascinates me because I actually discovered something I didn't know today.
Yeah.
She feels like the real overachiever. Eh?
Yeah, she is a bit of a all-rounder. So when it comes to the academics, when it comes to sports all round, and I think yeah, man, it's amazing to see how she's starting to grow into herself and expose herself to the way she wants to be, and I think for me as a brother, I just wanted to guide it into the space of like, are you enjoying yourself? Are you motivated? Are you happy? And I think that's all I can do from my side.
So take us back to 2010,
Mm-hmm.
World Junior
2010.
Champs.
Yes. Uh-huh.
How was all that? Is that like the start of sort of Wade Dreamer?
I think that was definitely the space where it was like, okay, this is me now, and this is what I'm gonna focus on, and where I'm gonna have to put my energy in, because I was also very attracted to rugby and football and all sorts of sports. And I think being in Grey College, it was a bit difficult to specialize in the rugby side because I wasn't there day one. So then it became a bit challenging for me to make first teams and the A teams and the main teams and so on. So I ended up being a bit more discouraged when it came to the rugby space because I I actually thought that rugby would have been the place for me to go to. But then I guess it was a blessing in disguise that that didn't materialize, because then I would seek other sports, and I think track and field was one that was always around and one that I was always good at, and I could always back myself in when it comes to sports. And 2010 kind of sealed it for me, because I mean I was still a very raw athlete, not much training, didn't really take the sport too serious. I was more fixed on doing as much as I can, athletics in the summer, rugby in the winter, football in between. So it was never really something that I was stuck on until 2010. And when I came fourth at World Junior Championships, I was like, if I can come fourth in the world without much training, then I'm sure I have more potential. And I think that's when I started taking it a bit more serious.
How do you get, or how did you get to a point when you basically are running world class across all those distances? How do you get to the point of going, four's going to be my thing, and then now with your change going, okay, cool, these Olympics, I'm going to, you decided to concentrate on the two.
I think now that you highlight the question, it's kind of what keeps me going, what keeps me ticking, the fact that I have the gift and talent to be able to expose myself in all of them and believe that I'll do well in all of them. I think the only unlucky part of it was my injuries. Picking up a lot of injuries and picking up big injuries and all the small ones during the journey kind of made it difficult for me to um, push the barriers to the level and the limit I really wanted to. I am very grateful that I did have the opportunity to push myself in the 400, but I also feel like it really wasn't everything. And I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse, because I was more attracted to the fact that I could do them all than I was to specialize in one. And that's where I think maybe it could also be a curse, because you also want to be able to focus on one thing and push yourself to the extreme limit to just that one thing, and see what is the highest point that you can go with it. But at the same time, I think the fact that I could switch to the one and two as well and be competitive and have that desire to be competitive in those events is what kind of kept me around more than anything else, because I think I had a more holistic love for all events than I did just one, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. And like I don't want to dwell on 2016 because I think
Hmm. Hmm.
everyone's kind of heard the story, but just
Yeah.
from a personal experience, when do you, and
Yeah.
not in an arrogant way, when do you
Hmm.
have that moment of like, like that surreal moment of like, if you think back now, when did you go, yeah, I had arrived?
Hmm. I don't think I've ever had like that moment. I think I was always just someone that knew that I just have to work as hard as I can and see what happens. And to a large extent, the 400-meter race was something that I wanted to do as hard as possible and as efficiently as possible, so that I can I can be done with it in a way. I don't know. It sounds a bit how do I put it? Like the 400 was something that I didn't want to dwell around too long. So if I had to do a 400, I need to do it, get it finished and done, get it over and done with, and then move on, because it wasn't a space that I really enjoyed too much, but it was a gift and it was a blessing. So I obviously knew that I had to reap as much as I can out of this, because this is my God-given gift and talent and blessing. But at the same time, like I said earlier as well, like I had such a big desire and motive to want to do well in the two and one as well, that it kind of made it very difficult for me to just focus. And the moment I crossed the finish line with during the Olympic Games, I think it was more a sigh of relief than it was a moment of celebration. I think only afterwards you realize that what you've achieved was something great, something amazing, something that inspires, something um that's historical. But in that moment, I really just wanted to do the best that I can and then move on. But later on, you start realizing that, hey, you need to take a step back and celebrate these moments and appreciate it as well.
Yeah, because I think
Mhm.
one of the jobs we're really trying to do at the moment is kind of bring the aura, the amazement of our athletes on Team South Africa to the kind of, it's funny when you talk about a Siya Kolisi, we've got a guy, a hero who's on the global stage, and we working within the team are going, we feel that we deserve the same with our athletes,
Mhm.
there's been the talk, thank God for the silver medal, but there's been the talk about Akani and when is that medal going to come. But what's been amazing is a lot of people, and we've been trying to work towards this kind of narrative of people realizing that this guy has been in the fun,
Mhm.
and the names that he's been up against when you're being introduced with Usain Bolt,
Yeah. Yeah.
the same sentence, you've arrived,
Mhm.
and I think
Mhm.
same with you is we're trying to get to that point where people are celebrating. I remember there was that reaction from Usain when you broke the record, and then when
Yeah.
they jumped back to studio, you know, with
Yeah. Yeah.
with
Yeah.
with Michael Johnson, and
Mhm.
that was the
Mhm.
question I was kind of getting to of like, you've arrived when the
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
best 100-meter runner in the world is like,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
man, I think
Look,
you
it's
just had a
it's
little embrace there, yeah,
yeah, yeah. It's a bit of a difficult thing, because if we have to be realistic, South Africa is a rugby and a football nation, and it is it is it's something that kind of been in our DNA from day one. I mean, if you speak to Akani as well, he grew up loving football. Myself, I grew up loving rugby, and track and field was kind of something that we saw afterwards, that, we're good at this. Let's see where this takes us. But if you look at it before Akane and myself, the likes of Elia and the Khotsos and all the gents before them, you couldn't really make, or you couldn't earn the likes of the rugby players and the football players. I think even before Akane and myself, youngsters never got contracts. Juniors never really got like proper contracts, and I think we kind of woke the world in a sense where we were like, yo, we here, we can also compete, we can also um challenge right around the world. And I think once we start exposing this more and more, and I guess seeing more and more South African athletes be more um prominent on the Diamond League circuits and the World Championship circuits, then we'll be able to celebrate our athletes more consistently, the same way we do the footballers and the rugby players. Because I mean, the moment the rugby guys play, it's Black Friday, and we're all wearing our green and golds, and we're all backing the guys. And this is a movement that came decades. It's not something that just Wade and Akani won a gold medal. Now we need to support this, the 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 sport. It's something that I guess Akane and I now have, and we spoke about it many times before. Like we've seen that we're in a position where we can put the sport on a certain level or in a certain space so that the next generation can come through and reap those benefits, and hopefully in five or the next 2 3 Olympic games that we are fully South African country supporting track and field, and rooting for the guys. Where I mean, I think even 2016 most people only knew that I'm around the moment they heard I'm in the final. And I don't think you can ask much South Africans what did we do in the heats and the semis. And but everyone knows what the Springboks did in the group stages, in the knockout rounds and the finals. You know what I mean? So it's something that's gonna have to be progressive and something that's gonna have to be consistent. And I think us as a federation, track and field federation, needs to put in that time and effort to make sure that we invest in the correct people and we put money in the right spaces and places so that our athletes can be celebrated in a way where they are seen on a consistent basis and are being supported on a consistent basis, because it will never get there if we have to look at the money spent for rugby and soccer compared to the money spent for track and field. We're never going to get to that level unless we as a country decide to invest in it the way we want to. Then we'll only get it to the level we want to, and for the athletes to be celebrated the way we want them to.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Tell me, how excited about are you about this young crop of guys
Mhm,
that's
mhm.
coming through?
No, I love them. I think it's amazing. I think it's really a good group, good personalities, good energies, super competitive as well. And I think all of them quite professional, and I think that already takes them to the level of wanting to see them consistently at the world stages. I think if I look at this year alone, how the whole world celebrated our youngsters, and the whole world highlighted our Bradleys and our Lyles Lights and our the guys that did well in, where was it, the world champs,
The under 20s.
the under 20 world champs, the
And
guys that did
yeah,
well out there. And I mean, we saw these guys being posted by World Athletics all through the year. We saw these guys being posted, um, reposted by people all over the world. And I think this is amazing group of athletes coming through now. I think we just have to, as a country, find ways to support them and back them so that they stay healthy and on the right track to make sure that they end up where they need to be. Because I mean, if we look at the likes of Akani and myself, it's 9-8 and 43 seconds. You can't tell me there's only two of them that can do this in a whole country. There's a whole bunch of us that can do it. I think we just need the right people to invest in them, and find the right spaces to help them reach their potential.
yeah. And
Hmm.
I mean, I remember there was an interview with Live after
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
in the Bahamas, post Bahamas, after
Hmm.
the the relay.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And like you can see that, he was living in this lovely world where he's
Hmm.
going,
Hmm.
I'm running with one of my heroes, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
And for you, how does it feel, knowing that you've inspired people, and, what does it mean
yeah,
to you to be a role model to these guys?
hmm Yeah, man, it takes you a while, obviously, to realize it because I mean, sometimes I still am like, yo, what are you talking about? But at the same time, I mean, I am building relationships with these guys, like especially Lyth and Zach, and also seeing them constantly coming through on the Diamond League circuits, and I'm a firm believer that they have the potential to be finalists. And the reason why I'm highlighting them is because I do 400 meters and I see what they're doing, and I've raced with them. Um, and the guys that I race against, I've seen them beat them, and I've seen them compete against them. So I know they really do have the potential, and I just want to try and be as present as possible and the best version of myself to be an example to tell them, yo, you can, and if I can, you can, and we both come from the same country, and what I've achieved is not something that's nations away from you. It's something that our country can do. And like I mentioned earlier as well, when I spoke about Akani running 9.8 and myself running 43 seconds, and there's so much of us now running 19 seconds as well. It's clear to see that we can enter in a space where we can dominate track and field. We have that ability, we have those talents. I think I don't like emphasizing on it the whole time, but I guess it is a need that these guys need to be supported. These guys need to be encouraged. I had a good support structure with my parents, but not everyone has that same gift where they can fall back and their parents will be helping them and supporting them and guiding them and giving their loss so that they have a pair of spikes or a pair of shoes or whatever else, physio sessions, all the behind the scenes stuff where a lot of these youngsters are going to need this to become the next Akani and the next Wayde van Niekerk. But it will only happen if we as a whole kind of invest in that.
Yeah. And just kind of taking a little segue into the kind of training
Hmm
over the years. I mean, you've obviously come through, like we started talking from 2010, what's that, 14 years.
Yeah, yeah.
How's your training kind of evolved through the years?
I think I've always been a very hard worker, and I think that's where I lean towards to get my performances. But yeah, it's difficult, man. I think the older you get, the more you realize that, hey, I can't do this the same way I used to. Or you try doing it, and then I think this last 3 years was that back and forth for me. Um, Thinking I can still push my body to certain levels and as hard as I used to, and then I'm out for 2 3 weeks and losing time each and every month or each and every week. So it was a bit of a difficult one, and it's something that I guess I now myself am trying to manage to see how I can stay injury free. And I think if you've been following my career, I'm a very aggressive athlete. In the 400 meter, I love going out hard, and I love the speed side of it. And I think the same with the one and two. And when you see me run the one and two, you'll probably see me the most happiest because that's where I can go hard and give it my all. But I guess I've entered a space now where my body needs a bit more tender care and a bit of a more specific eye to be able to manage these type of things a bit better. So it's a day-to-day give and take kind of learning process. And I'm just trying to trust the team around me and everyone that's kind of guiding me because I know I'm someone that just automatically have that mentality of 110% always. So I'm gonna need people around me that can help me kind of manage it and guide me and put me in a space where we do efficient work, but at the same time quality, so that I can push myself when the time is needed.
Yeah. And I mean, also just looking at on the mental side of things, because I think, anyone who's had an ACL
Hmm
injury knows that.
hmm
In fact, let me rephrase that. Anyone whose family has dealt with someone who's had an ACL injury can tell you how taxing it is, because it it,
Yeah.
it really is. But you went through ACL, COVID, delayed Olympics. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
how's
Yeah.
how's the mental side and outside of that? Because we're
Mhm,
3,
mhm.
4 years down the line, but how's the mental side of things there?
Yeah, man. Yes, it's a difficult thing to converse because it's kind of something that it's a journey type of thing and a thing that you yourself are trying to um understand on a day-to-day basis. But I think the key for me was just realizing that you need to control the controllables. It's easier said than done because I mean, there's days when you're struggling with anxiety or you're struggling with borderline depression or whatever else comes with something like an injury and something like um the difficulties of being able to push yourself to the limits the way you can and the way you know you can, and then life itself comes along and gives you its own unique challenges and personal um difficulties, and now you're trying to juggle all of these kind of things that you need to overcome, and I think being able to identify what the negatives are and what emotions goes with the negatives, and then try and identify what the positives are and what emotions go with the positives, because I think when you on a high, it's easy to see the positives and to understand the positives and know what direction to go to. But once you are exposed to the negatives and the depressions and the anxieties and sleeping medication and finding ways to maneuver yourself through the difficult times, it then becomes a bit more of a darker cloud that you need to work through, and it becomes very challenging because now you need to work through something that you've never ever done before, and then later on you realize that even my positives feel like negatives, and you're no longer taking your positives in the way you used to. It feels overwhelming and it feels like it's a negative, and it's hard to say because I mean, we spoke about it earlier how much kind of sports people I have around me in my family and so on, but I guess I'm the first one to hit the heights that I have, and I think a lot of people has mentioned it to me is like, don't put so much pressure on yourself. You've won golds and you've won broke records and you've this and that. But at the same time, you start realizing that the reason why you're so hard on yourself and you're so deep into your emotions is because those are the emotions that kind of made you the world champion that you are, the world record holder you are, and then you need to learn how to manage through those negativities and realize that some of them are positives that seem negative because of the space you're in. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense. And just trying to find ways to manage that space, and I'm at that space now to be able to um identify my positives and know that this is where I need to lay in. And I think the most the recent thing that I've been meditating on was, they say anxiety and gratitude can't exist at the same time, and that's kind of where I'm soaking myself into, is to see what am I grateful for, why am I still doing what I'm doing, and seeking all the good things of what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And I think, like you've mentioned earlier as well, like looking at all the youngsters that see me as inspiration, I think I remember the ones that it really changed the entire season for me at Bahamas. Zach came to me and he was like, "Wait, just the fact that you are around changes our mind and it makes us feel like we can." And to me, that was a massive positive because I'm like, oh, like I'm all down and out and struggling with injuries and niggles and issues, and this guy's giving me a positive. Why am I not grateful that I can be this presence and I can be this person to others? And while I am practicing my gratitude, still put in the hard work, because there's no way my hard work will go in vain. And eventually, when the time is right, my time will come. Because I had my season of winning, I'm having my season of losing. But if you constantly put in the hard work, your season will come.
Yeah, and I mean, on that point,
Hmm.
what goals have you set
Hmm.
yourself for the coming years?
Yeah, yeah. It's very difficult because when it comes to the 400 meters, I think 42 seconds is definitely a big goal for myself. And if it happens or if it doesn't happen, it's something that I'll always strive towards and push towards. But then when it comes to medals, I mean, I've done it in the 400. I've done golds in the 400 meters. I've broken records in the 400 meters. So I don't know. It's a difficult one. I think I'm just taking it day by day and seeing where it takes us, because I feel I would love to know what it's like to be in a 100-meter final one day. Or um okay, I've got my 200-meter gold, but I would love to up my tallies in the one and twos. But yeah, I mean, it's a very difficult thing to manage, a very challenging thing to manage. But at the same time, the 400-meter comes so easily. Like, I know that I can just turn up to an event and I'll do well in the 400 meters. So it's a very difficult thing. I can't really tell you. So I'm really just taking it day by day, putting in the hard work, putting in a holistic effort, and then allowing my body to kind of guide me to where next.
Cool. But
No,
thanks so much for your time.
no problem.
It's been lovely catching up with you,
Thanks.
and hopefully we'll bump into you sometime soon. Are you
Yeah, hopefully we'll see.
are you back US, or are you going to be training SAs? That are we here now?
I'm in SA for now, yeah. I'll be working in SA.
Cool. Well, I'm sure we'll
Yeah.
see you at Champs or one of those.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 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 for sure. Now I'll be around.
Cool. Awesome. So thanks so much for making the time. Appreciate it.
No problem. All
Take care,
good.
mate.
See
Cheers.
you.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.